The Italian Wine Podcast is introducing a new donation drive this month. It's called Why Am I a Fan? We are encouraging anyone who tunes in on a regular basis to send us your 10-second video on why you are a fan of our podcast network or a specific show. We will then share your thoughts with the world with the goal of garnering support for our donation drive. Italian Wine Podcast is a publicly funded, sponsor-driven enterprise that needs you in order to continue to receive awesome free wine edutainment 7 days a week. We are asking our listeners to donate to the Italian Wine Podcast by clicking either the GoFundMe link or the Patreon link found on ItalianWinePodcast.com. Remember, if you sign up as a monthly donor on our Patreon, we will send you a free IWP t-shirt and a copy of the Wine Democracy book, the newest Mama Jumbo Shrimp publication. Welcome to this special Italian Wine Podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in. Welcome to Clubhouse. Today we have Alberto Frea, fireside chat with Alberto Frea, moderated by Matt Paice, Ambassador's Corner. We do this every week and usually on Thursdays at 6 p.m. And it will be replayed on the Italian Wine Podcast in the next week or two. And yeah, it's normally Stevie Kim does these, and she is, I promise, so much better at these than I am. But she's off traveling in the wide, wide world as she does. You're stuck with me this time. So
okay.
So Matt,
should we go on? Yeah, go.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say you are a restaurateur. I see, and you're operations director of Enoteca da Luca, an independent group of 3 Italian restaurants and wine bars in central London. And you're an Italian wine ambassador and a WSET Level 3 holder. Have I got everything there?
Exactly, that's true.
So before we get started, I just wanted to ask you why you chose Alberto Frea as your favorite wine producer.
Well, me and Alberto just had lunch last week in one of our restaurants. Fontanafredda's Barolo Serralunga d'Alba is a big seller for us. We've just been Fontanafredda have been promoting Barolo Week for a while now, I think, Alberto. And so we've just participated in this promotion where we've had the Serralunga d'Alba by the glass, and it's going incredibly well. So I think we're probably going to continue it through all of November. The week becomes a month. I'm super passionate about Piemonte. I've been a few times. I love Nebbiolo more than anything else. So yeah, and obviously Fontanafredda, terrific historic producer. So that's why I thought it would be good for us to talk.
Fantastic. No, I actually was going to ask you as well, where you had first heard of him. So was it the first time that you met him for the first time last week for lunch?
No, we've met. Where have we met before, Alberto? Was it Grandi Langhe was the first time we met? I can't even remember.
Correct. We met in January this year. Yeah. By chance.
In Torino, which, if anyone is listening is interested in Nebbiolo from Piemonte, Grandi Langhe is the place to learn more about that. Lots of brilliant producers all under one roof. From my point of view, it was great to meet people who are already imported into the UK and also to meet producers who are not imported into the UK. And you've got everyone under one roof. it's a really, really brilliant opportunity to taste things side by side.
Great. Okay. And that's awesome. Okay, so you guys know each other a little bit. And do you have any learning objectives? Stevie Kim loves the learning objectives. Do you have any learning objectives that you want the audience to take away from today's conversation?
I would say it was more about, for me in Italy, one of the things I want to talk to Alberto about is, MGAs and, different soil types, and really understanding how they can impact, how Nebbiolo responds to terroir. And I think it's super important for Piemonte, and that's been established for about 12 years now, that to have MGAs on the label. And I was just yesterday in Chianti Classico with the consortio there, and that is something that consortio is now pushing towards, with what they call the UGAs, which is the unfortunate Italian pronunciation for UGA, which is the same as an MGA, really. Just a really kind of terroir specific interpretation of wines. So yeah, that would be one of the learning objectives for sure. And I think hopefully we're also going to touch a bit on the history of Barolo as well. So that would be another learning objective too.
Hey, great. And also, I got to remind you to say the word UGAs a bunch more times.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't say UGA. God forbid, if you're in Italy, it's going to be an UGA.
That makes my day. All right. So without further ado, then, I will bring on Alberto. Are you there?
I am. Uga, I like
Hi,
it.
Alberto. Well, Matt, go ahead at the end. I will come back, and if there's time for questions and there's a question, we'll do that. But otherwise, you go ahead and talk to you later.
Great. Okay, cool. Hey, Alberto. Let's start at the beginning, if we can. Fontanafredda was one of the very first producers to make wines labeled as Barolo. So that's quite a relatively recent development. 1858, have I got that right?
Correct.
When you started producing.
Yes.
Put the history in context for us. How do you think Barolo has changed in the last 164 years? How does modern Barolo compare to the original wines that Fontanafredda produced back then?
Well, first of all, let me just do a quick introduction about Fontanafredda for those of you that don't know it. Yes, correct. It started in 1858. It was because of the love story that King Vittorio Emanuele II, first king of Italy, had with Rosa Vercellana, the lucky mistress. Fontanafredda estate was purchased by Vittorio for the woman that he truly loved. And then subsequently it was their son, Emanuele Alberto, that started to vinify. It was around the 1870s, though, that the first label of Fontanafredda started to appear. The property today has preserved the original shape. It's a tiny village set in the Serralunga d'Alba town. We manage 120 hectares of land. Most of these vineyards are all surrounding the estate, and it's a beautiful place. There is this beautiful amphitheater of rounded hills that surround the estate. To answer your question, I read a lot about the early beginnings of Barolo, heard a lot. There are a lot of myths. The truth is that Nebbiolo has been in Piedmont since 1200s, but Barolo, as we know it today, started probably around the 1830s. And what we know certainly is that around those times the modern enology started to appear in Piedmont. So if I can say what happened in these 164 years, for sure, I believe that today we manage the enology in a much more careful way, decanting the wines, managing the fermentation, So at that time they couldn't manage the fermentation completely. To give you an example, in one of the historical cellar that is set inside Fontanafredda, underneath the barrels, there was space to put a fireplace in order to heat the barrels to complete the fermentation.
Really?
Yeah, that's weird. But so a lot has changed. So today we do much more carefully. We protect the wine from the oxidation in every stage. We are extremely clean in our cellar. In the cellar, probably in the 1850s, not probably. They also had animals in the same place. So
Really?
yeah, modern technology, 100 almost 50 years of modern technology is what happened, and how Barolo today differs from the early beginnings.
Amazing. And do you think the wines have become easier to drink at a younger age? Is that what would you would say is a consequence of these? I mean, you mentioned, not faulty as being the primary, objective or of temperature control, but also more drinkable. Should we say, or
That
did they
is
used to kind of? I'm guessing there were more things might have been added to the wine. Going back over 100 years.
That is indeed the goal. At least I can talk for what is the identity of Fontanafredda Barolo today. The main goal is to have wines that are approachable throughout their lifespan. So starting from the early beginning. That is indeed something that has changed. And for us, it is very important, and is also the reason why we met the Barolo Week, making Barolo approachable and drinkable by the glass as a wine for drinking every day. It's something that for sure is the proof.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I walked into one of our restaurants today, having been away, and they were like, "Oh my God, how much longer are we doing this promotion? Because it's flying." So that was really really encouraging that customers were kind of jumping at the opportunity to have some Barolo by the glass.
Amazing.
One thing I look at, I heard a lot all week in Chianti Classico is organic farming. I mean, almost everyone I saw in Chianti Classico was organic certified. Fontanafredda has been certified now for 4 years. It's expensive. Why? It's time consuming. It's expensive. Why did you get that? Why did you want to get that certification?
Well, indeed, you're totally right. Well, it's better to be poor and healthy than rich and sick, no?
Yeah.
I mean, I was born and here in the area. I've seen how the area has changed during the years. We are in a historical phase where all the companies have this responsibility to, let's say, save the planet, do something. Fontanafredda, I always liked this philosophy because it's something that started way before the organic certification. And here it's not perceived as a cost at all. Even though, yes, it is time consuming, but it's not perceived as a cost at all. It's an investment. Fontanafredda has this leading role because it's a path that started in the early 90s. There were already at that time run by the Regione Piemonte some initiatives to reduce the level of chemical in the vineyards. And that at the time Fontanafredda already applied by these misure agroambientali. Later on, 2012, we launched a big project called Vino Libero. Vino Libero was Actually sounds like quite an ambitious name, and today someone would say greenwashing, but no, because it was actually a project registered at European Union level, which involved the elimination of chemical products and herbicides in the vineyards, a reduction of sulfites, minimum 40% compared to the legal limit. And all the state vineyards and all the farmers that were working under our protocol were adhering to these limits. Then in 2015, we felt that the time was mature to step further. So that's when we started the organic certification process. So today, all the Fontanafredda vineyards are run as organic. And also, part of the same families that work with us are either converting or they are working under sustainable practices under our consultancy.
I saw that. So, I mean, obviously, organic certification I'm familiar with, but I see that you've also got sustainability certification called Equalitas, which I don't think I've seen before. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Absolutely, I feel in part responsible for that. I tell you why. Equalitas is the next step. It's one of the most important certification body here in Italy to certify the sustainability in different aspects. And I think it's what really represent the philosophy of Fontanafredda when it comes to sustainability, because it's not just the part related to the organic farming. Basically, we measure every year. The main indicator is the carbon footprint, so the emission that we make for producing our wine, and the goal is little by little every year to improve the performance. From a strict commercial point of view, and that's the reason why I feel responsible, is because some of the retailers around the world and the buyer of some market, let's say they are more forefront from this point of view, and in particular in Sweden, the monopoly called Systembolaget is they are the ones that nowadays require sustainability certification if you want to apply for the tender process in order to be listed in their shops. That is becoming a requirement. Equalitas means environmental, ethical, and economical sustainability. So these are the three aspects. So regarding the part in the environment, besides the agriculture, it is the water cycle, which is measured. Luckily in Piemonte, we are quite virtuous from that point of view, because basically there is no irrigation. And in Fontanafredda, the water that we use is recycled from a small lake that is part of the property. So we use that water clean several times in all the proceedings that we need in the cellar. We use sustainable energy. Last year we experimented sustainable tractors. They are fueled with biomethane, and the biomethane is generated. It's very interesting, because also this project is to fuel them with biomethane that is generated from the waste from the agriculture. So it's a real circular economy. In the property, there is a forest. We call it the Forest of Fox. It's the green Langhe of Fontanafredda. It's 12 hectares of forest that dates back to the King's times. And then when it comes to the packaging, all the aspect, all the single part of the packaging, from the recycled paper to the recycled glass, the cardboard boxes, everything. And then the last part, the ethical part. Fontanafredda is a small village since the beginning. And initiatives to make the employees happy, they were run since the beginning. For instance, there is a kindergarten free for during the summer for the employees. There are a lot of initiatives, and the company itself is reinvesting a lot in the area. So all these virtuous action are part of an official document that we publish every year. We just published the one related to 2021, which is our sustainability report, and you can find it on our website. Quite long, complicated, tricky to tell, because basically on our label, back label, you just find this small logo, but it embraces our philosophy for the years to come.
Amazing. That sounds like a huge commitment. It's also funny how often when I talk to winemakers, the Swedish monopoly comes up in conversation. It's extraordinary how they influence the wine world. I mean, I've heard so many winemakers reference them for different ways. Not always. Sometimes it sounds like that they have some weird ideas that make everyone's life more difficult. But I suppose we could say that this sustainability is a real industry positive. Talking about you've got these 120 hectares under vine, and there's independent growers. How does that work? Fontanafredda is a negocio? Well, I didn't really understand.
Yeah, in a way, yes. And actually, the Equality certification is precisely also one of the reasons why we make the Equalitas is that not only we're responsible for ourselves, but we are responsible for the entire supply chain of the grapes. So this basically states that the growers that will work in the years to come with us must adhere to certain clean agriculture, a certain protocol. And even though they are independent, I must say most of them have been working with us for generations. And it's a relationship that is not just as a negotiation, because our team of agronomists consult them throughout the year. So they visit each of these farmers throughout the year. When it comes closer to the harvest, they are visited by the enologists as well. So during the year, they are given free consultancy by us in terms of the intervention, the treatments, anything they need to do in order to reach the clean quality of the grapes that we want, and also for the most appropriate time of the harvest, of course. During the year, we often do events, meetings here in Fontanafredda to update from a technical point of view. And regarding the portfolio, if I can make this big differentiation, the grapes that comes from the growers give us a great chance to make larger, more homogeneous blends. So these blends of different vineyards allow us to express the varietal characteristic and more the vintage characteristic. Typically, this is our label, which is the historical one, the one that we call Platinum or Tradizione, where the one with the coat of arms of the family of Vittorio Emanuele. Instead, we have other lines where we use our own vineyards or the long-term rentals, and these are mainly the Cru and the wines that we call Le Righe. Le Righe means the stripes, and the stripes is also a landmark that identifies the buildings in Fontanafredda. So it gives a sense of place of where we are and also where the wine comes from.
Are you enjoying this podcast? There's so much more high-quality wine content available from Mama Jumbo Shrimp. Check out our new wine study maps, our books on Italian wine, including Italian Wine Unplugged, The Jumbo Shrimp Guide to Italian Wine, Sangiovese Lambrusco and Other Stories, and much, much more on our website, mamajumboshrimp.com. Now back to the show.
So if I'm looking at your wine labels, it's coat of arms means it's your own vineyards, but stripes might not be. Is that right? Have I understood that properly? Or stripes is your own, or it's a mix? No.
Yeah, stripes, it's mostly on vineyards or long-term rentals. And
Okay.
on the other end, the former silver, because now it's a little bit more clear color, so we call it platinum. The platinum label is the one with all the grapes that we purchase around with this network of farmers.
I see. Okay. So, in terms of your total output, what's the split between own grapes and purchased? Is it 50-50, or how do you know? Are you able to measure it?
Oh, it's tricky to measure, honestly. It's a
Okay.
bit tricky to measure. Yeah, I will reply later if I can find the split.
Okay, fine. Don't worry. And in terms of your sales, one thing that was kind of interesting, I know I keep talking about Chianti Classico, that's because I was just there. You know, we met a few producers who were maybe 10% domestic sales, and 90% international, usually North America. How does it work for Fontanafredda? Your what's the split
Wow.
between what you sell in Italy, what you sell elsewhere?
Wow, that is an impressive figure. With these numbers, I feel more confident. So actually today we are roughly 50 and 50 split. Historically, Fontanafredda has a strong market in the domestic market. Today we have a big push in the export. So during the year, the split has changed, because when I started in 2016, it was 40-60. Now it's almost 50-50. We export to 70 different countries, around the world, and we export all around the world, basically. It's interesting because we have this very diversified portfolio, because, of course, we are famous for the red wines, mainly. We've been talking about Barolo Week, but Fontanafredda is and gives me these tools to almost have a tailored strategy according to each market, where I can pick the different grape varieties and the different styles of Piemonte, because we talk about reds, but Piemonte is the region of Moscato d'Asti, Asti Spumante, Metodo Charmat, Great Whites, which is the next frontier for Piemonte. So Arnese. Last week we tasted the Arnese. Remember how much we liked it. Gavi, Timorasso, and Alta Langhe, of course. Alta Langhe is an excellence in our production, and it's the smallest production that we have. It's interesting because today the Alta Langhe, it's mainly consumed locally. The overall production among all the producers is a little above 1 million bottles, but it's something that will grow over the year. And I always say it's a natural consequence of the climate change, going in the Alta Langhe, in higher elevation. So we are exploiting this potential that the terroir in the Alta Langhe has. Now with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Tomorrow probably it will be also other grape varieties. Alta Langhe is very exciting, and Fontanafredda has been producing Metodo Classico since 1959. That is impressive, because when you look at the story of Fontanafredda, it has always been very innovative and a trailblazer for many projects, many things here in the area. We produced a wine called Contessa Rosa, Metodo Classico, since 1959. Today it's one part of our full range of Alta Langhe. 6 different wines. Little by little, we're starting to export also the Alta Langhe around the world. We started in Scandinavia again, and in North America.
I agree with you. There's something about Alta Langhe. We list one from Contratto. But yeah, I agree with you that it's kind of an exciting place for Metodo Classico. And I just, when it gets bigger and bigger, I'm sure that I agree that it'll keep growing. On just talking about sparkling, you mentioned Moscato d'Asti. I can't think of a less fashionable wine in the UK than Moscato d'Asti. It was about the hardest sell to UK customers it's possible to get. It's so tough to sell it in this country. Where does it work for you? It must be working well for you internationally. Where? Who are the countries that love it?
Well, to go back to what we were talking earlier about the United States, United States is our main market today. Actually, it's one of the main market for Moscato d'Asti is a denomination for the typology of Moscato. Actually grew a lot, double digits during the pandemic.
Really?
It's impressive because it's a market where probably they can find Moscato from different areas from around the world. But apparently, even for the Moscato, the quality pays. Moscato d'Asti is, of course, a high quality product. So indeed, United States, and then several other markets around the world. Here in Europe, main market is Greece. And it's ironic, because Moscato actually came all the way through Greece here in Italy, and now we export it there. Funny.
Amazing. Yeah, God, how funny. And then getting into now the reds, and in particular the Barolo. I would guess that in terms of value, if not volume, Barolo has got to be the most important part of your sales. Would that be right to say?
Indeed. This
In
is
terms of your total annual turnover, how does Barolo figure?
It is interesting because I was actually checking this data a few days ago, and Barolo represent in terms of turnover, in terms of revenues, 1/3 of our annual revenues.
Wow.
That is impressive. Yeah, Barolo is our DNA, is our identity, of course. I was talking about everything else, but of course, Barolo is, for us, we produce 6% of the entire Barolo that is produced every year.
Really?
In this moment, in this moment, in the cellar, among the bottles that are already bottled and the wine that is aging throughout the different vintages, we have roughly 2.5 million of bottles of Barolo that are there waiting to be sold around the world. So that is impressive. What is more impressive is another figure, which is the Barolo library. The Barolo library is what really stands out in Fontanafredda. We have about 200,000 bottles that are kept aside as part of this library, as part of this very extensive collection in terms of quantity and depth of vintages. And I'm very lucky to work for Fontanafredda. Yesterday evening, I was having dinner at our restaurant, Guido Ristorante, in the property, and we opened a 1974 Barolo. What a treat for me.
Wow.
Yeah, since the 50s, 1950s, Fontanafredda is kept aside every year, the best vintages, a few bottles of Barolo. These bottles are kept naked, no label, and they're resting in the cellar in perfect condition of humidity and temperature. And basically, today we continue this practice. So if we start this today, it would be crazy to start a project like this. So the property today, when they purchased the winery in 2008, they were lucky enough to find this collection. So they continue this. And this is great because every time that we open these old vintages, we demonstrate that Barolo is the greatest wine in the world, without a doubt. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to disagree.
Thanks.
What? Yeah, I mean, yeah. To my mind, there's no competition. Tell us, just because you just mentioned it, what was the 1974 like? What was it like to drink?
Well, there was some sediment. There was this brown color. We had the patience enough to wait. There was some sign of oxidation, but what was very, very nice that after 15 minutes, the wine started to still show some fruit.
Really?
It was still fresh. I mean,
Really?
still acidity, and that is what is impressive for me. That the wine, of course, you need to manage your expectations, but the wine was still quite surprising, in my opinion. The acidity was still there, so good shape, in my opinion.
Yeah. I tasted on Monday. I tasted a 1986 Chianti Classico with Fontardi, and what was interesting was they obviously it was pretty much completely tertiary, but also the it's happily not relevant in Barolo, but the Cabernet Sauvignon, there was a small amount of Cabernet Sauvignon which had completely come to the fore. It was very clearly a Cabernet Sauvignon blend wine. It's just, I'm always fascinated by, with decades of aging, what can happen with wines. So I'm very interested in your, what you're holding back. How is that, this project of your 200,000 bottles, how is that going to be commercialized? I mean, are you going to, the library, is that something that you've got a plan for, that you're going to be kind of selling, promoting? Or is it something you're gonna, or more that you're just gonna wait to see what happens? Are you exploiting it, I suppose, is my question, or are you? This is something you're gonna hold back?
No, let's say we are not under pressure, because some of the vintages are just held back, and we give them on location. But for instance, we do campaigns when the wine has been aged enough, in our opinion. For instance, this year we did some promotion in a few markets where we launched the 1982. So 40 years Barolo. 40 years Barolo, it's a cool concept. Sometimes we do that with 20 years Barolo. So looking back at the library, we try to create small campaigns in order to do very cool activities. For instance, I go back to Sweden again, sorry, but people are allowed to enter in a wine shop in the Monopoly and buy wine when they're 20. So if we have a 20-year-old Barolo, we try to release this every year. And it's a cool concept because they can drink the wine that was conceived when they were born.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah. How brilliant. talking now about the Barolo, the Nebbiolo that you're growing today for the wines of the future. You've got we were talking about this at lunch. You've got in your vineyards a couple of different soil types. Nebbiolo really responds to terroir. Tell us a bit about the different soils that you have, why you think it matters, what characters you're giving the wine.
Sure. Well, I keep aside the Barolo Classico since, as I said, it's made starting from grapes from different areas. When it comes instead for the soil of Fontanafredda estate, yes, we are located in the eastern part of the denomination. We are in Serralunga d'Alba, but Fontanafredda estate is located at the bottom of the ridge of hills that starts the Serralunga d'Alba village, so in the northern part, which means that we are closer to La Morra, and our soil in the state show more layers of marsh, sand. So this is normally reflected in grapes from Nebbiolo that, of course, are always extraordinary quality in Serralunga d'Alba, in all the village, but here in particular they express much more elegance. They give wines that are more expressive, refined when they're young. There's a natural predisposition from this kind of soil to give softer tannins. And then
sorry, Alberto, just talking about that. Explain why sand. I was talking about this in a vineyard 2 days ago. Sand and Nebbiolo, sand and grapes generally, sand and Nebbiolo. What's the effect? Why does it have this? You get a bit more perfume. How does that happen?
Well, naturally, what happens is that the vines don't grow in too much calcareous soil. They don't need to struggle. They don't extract too much tannins. On the other end, naturally the sand boosts the perfumes naturally, and also it's a kind of soil in the state which is a little bit more fertile as compared to the higher elevation in the village, allowing us to pick the grapes a little bit earlier. So normally there is differences of about 10 days in the phenolic maturation between the Nebbiolo that we have in our vineyards compared to the one that we have in the higher part of the village of Serralunga d'Alba.
That stupid question now. If you're picking earlier, wouldn't that make the grapes more tannic? Or what have I misunderstood? What have I misunderstood? I would have thought that you pick earlier, you get a more tannic grape, more acidic grape.
Not necessarily, because it's what how we extract the tannins that makes the difference. In terms of style for the wines, we try to extract the good tannins, the ones that we consider the sweet tannins. We manage the maceration and temperature of fermentation and everything in our cellar, also with some techniques that we are introducing in order to extract a good amount of good tannins and not the wine not to be too aggressive.
Okay, so it's a combination of the grapes don't have to stress too much, and so you can pick them earlier, and then in the cellar you're able to manage the tannins in a way that gets that good kind of drinkable outcome.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And one of the things that interests me always about Piedmontese growers is their kind of deep understanding of tannins and how they come about. And, I just find it completely fascinating how you guys are so good at, thinking about tannins, which is so important in Italian wines. You mentioned the sweet tannins. That would be, again, would you say soil in the vineyard or in the cellar that you're able to get those sweeter tannins?
Both. In
Okay.
particular, the grapes that come from the state of Fontanafredda are particularly suitable for this, but we want tannins that are as elegant as possible. I consider this the style of Fontanafredda, that during the vinification we try to have this extraction of tannins, not too dry, not too bitter, the ones that helps the freshness, the drinkability of the wine. You have a very good understanding with the vintage 2018 in particular, because it's so drinkable and so suiting this style. No coincidence that is going well with this Barolo Week by the Glass campaign. Yeah,
and I mean, I think you sort of touched on it a bit, but is there a perfect Barolo, and what's it like? Like, what is, or do you think everyone's got their own style? There's a Fontanafredda style, and there's another producer's style, and they're both equally valid? Or what do you think is, when you say the Barolo is the greatest wine in the world, like, why? What is it about it?
Why?
What makes it the best?
Well, the obvious reply would be the long ageability that allow you to drink on an average day 50 years old Barolo. But I would say the great elegance that throughout its life the Barolo preserves. So Barolo keeps evolving little by little, but it always preserves this elegance. It doesn't have stops. It doesn't have breaks during its evolution. It doesn't slow down. It always continues, but it always preserves this great elegance, in my opinion.
It doesn't go to sleep.
And then, yeah, to talk about the different styles, to go back to your introduction, we could start talking about the different vineyards and the different MGA. This would be a great discussion.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I think it's so important. It's, honestly, like the Chianti Classico producers, you can tell all the producers around there are just really obsessing about this, about how to get single vineyards, the frazione, you name it. They really want to. They didn't talk about, what interested me, they didn't talk about Piemonte very much. If I were them, I'd be going, well, in Piemonte, they're doing this. And they never did. We were laughing about it. But tell me about MGAs, your MGAs in particular.
Yeah. So it's no mystery that the Piemonte is little by little taking the example of Burgundy. So in this sense, we fully embrace this division in MGA. Actually, Fontanafredda back in the days was quite a trailblazer in that direction. So in the coming years, this for Fontanafredda will be the identity to show and explain this difference. We try to make it easier, but it's a complicated reality. The best is to visit the area. But what we will do in the next year is that starting from 2 MGA Barolo that we have today, we will arrive to have 10.
Really?
Yes, this is super exciting because I think I'm telling this for the first time, because I talked to the winemaker, to the property actually just yesterday about this. So speaking about talking about the portfolio of Fontanafredda and how it tells how Barolo is structured today. We said we have Barolo Classico, okay. But we also have the MGA MGA is better than Uga, no?
Absolutely.
MGA, Romega, from the township, the Serralunga di Alba. Serralunga di Alba, actually, the Serralunga d'Alba Fontanafredda is the oldest that was ever introduced in 1988. We celebrated this year 30 years of this concept. So we have the MGA, and then we have the NGA itself, and the NGA itself in Fontanafredda is Fontanafredda. That's brilliant because among the division in different MGAs, there is only one monopole that is called after a property, and it's Fontanafredda property, and this is the reason why we make this Barolo, which is from Nebbioli, from different vineyards inside the state, and it's called Proprietà in Fontanafredda. But starting from this year, starting from 2020, so it will be released in 2024, we also make the two new MGA that were originally part of our Serralunga and now have been vinified separately. We do micro vinification of Parafada and Meriame, that are two super vineyards in Serralunga d'Alba. And then we go to the last and smallest portion in the Barolo division, because we have Vigna. Since Fontanafredda historically was producing the wines under as a single vineyard, as a vigna, before the 2010 division of the MGA, some of the vineyards are inscribed in the official list. The one that we have been continuously making is Vigna La Rosa. Vigna La Rosa is our historical cru, is the vineyard that stays in the center of the state, facing south, and has been continuously made since 1964. But this year we have vinified separately few new vineyards, which are actually not so new. They were made as Vigna until 1982, and we are doing them again. And these are called Vigna Gallareto, still part of MJ Fontanafredda, Vigna Bianca, and Vigna San Pietro. These three vineyards have been vinified in Tini, so wood and vat, 140 hectoliters, part of the grapes, whole bunches. And then they went under a total of 40 days between fermentation and maceration. And now they're being racked and they are aging in the same tini. And this is a project where we go back to future. I mean, we go back to the original, to the early beginning of Fontanafredda, to do micro vinification of every single vigna with the most traditional techniques, and doing more and more this small, not so small, but smaller interpretation with different techniques of the different vineyards. I mean, I hope I confused you enough.
No, not at all. It's, I agree. I feel like it is the future to be, particularly, looking at it commercially, to have the most prized wines of the future and to be able to monetize that, it's inevitable. Is it unusual? You said so they go back into the same tini to age. Is that an unusual thing? I'm trying to think. Is that an unusual step? No, that's a normal.
No.
That's kind of
no.
Yeah. Okay.
No. What is ironic? Not ironic, but what shows the different era in the winemaking here is that the cellar where we make this wine is the one that in the 1990s were hosting the barrique, 225 liter French shop that has been replaced.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, very interesting. You can also find some amphoras, some other stuff in that. So it's becoming a laboratory, a lab, that part of our cellar.
Yeah. And are these wines, these are basically just a process, the individual viña. Those are just ones that you have noticed give, particularly interesting character over the year. It's not driven by tasting rather than driven by the science of the geology or the aspect. I mean, was there a shortlisting process of how you're going to get to these individual crew, or is it kind of endless trial and error?
Well, it's for us, it's an experiment because, as I said, these three vigna in the state were not vinified separately since 1982. So these three in particular are vinified in the same way. Some of the other vineyards are, we try to stress the difference, but more with the different techniques. For instance, as I briefly mentioned, some have been vinified with different layers of destemmed and whole bunches. Some were fermented in oak, some were fermented traditionally in stainless steel. We are trying to make a lot of experiments, and then we'll see. We'll see. It will be, the future will be exciting.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, listen, I can't wait to 2024 to start trying them. Listen, we're finishing our hour. I think we've covered everything. Yes, I think we've covered everything we want to cover. Thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck with Barolo Week around the world. I hope it's been successful for everyone else as it has been for us. We'll catch up back in London very soon. Leica is typing me a message. Let's see if she's got anything else to say. Oh, yes, no, I'm turning over to Joy, which sounds a bit weird. Joy, are you back on the line?
I certainly am. So yeah, that was a lovely conversation. Sounds like you really do enjoy his wine, so that's pretty awesome. I believe that we only have 2 minutes, so I think like I had mentioned, there is a question from owner, I believe. Can you explain, if you don't mind? He's written it, but I'm afraid
Okay.
can
Hi,
you help me
Joy.
out?
Sure. If you scroll up, he has a question. So he said, I missed how you managed to make a Barolo that is younger than 20 to 25 years drinkable. Can you explain, if you don't mind? Thanks. Can you,
I think
briefly, probably.
reading that question, the question seems to be, how can Barolo be drinkable at less than 20 years?
Perhaps.
I personally find it drinkable at 4, but there you go.
Okay, well, I'm not a winemaker, but basically it's the what I was saying before, what we refer to the extraction of the sweet, the good tannins. So for our Barolo Classico, which is the most approachable of them all, there is, first of all, a majority of grapes that we have that comes from the western part of the denomination, where normally the tannins are much softer, but normally for the Barolo Classico, we rack the wine after 20 days. So we don't do the traditional super long maceration of the grapes over the skin of Nebbiolo. That is how we make the Barolo drinkable.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, owner, for that question. That's very much appreciated. So Leica, before I say goodbye to Matt and Alberto, can you tell me when the next podcast, when is the next Clubhouse session?
It's going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Italian time zone. Sheila Donahue from Vino Vero We will be interviewing Antonella Manuli from Fattoria La Magliosa. So that's it. See you guys tomorrow, and thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you both.
Thank you for the lovely
Thank you
conversation.
so much.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
great
Thanks for the
See
support.
you.
Of
Bye.
Grazie.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Grazie mille. Ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.